The following comments are based on my personal observations and experiences of his choices and actions, and they are intended with respect and constructive intention. It has been my experience over the past years that Mr. Mortel, in his role as city attorney and city manager, operates from a position of personal agenda, more than representation of the public at large. And I've told him as much in the past correspondences. Some examples: Canner CPUD, where he appeared to be the developer's attorney representing special interests over community, even when the ALJ had judged the city's actions as inappropriate. His questionable alliance and information feed for local propaganda media such as Friends and Something. Questionable negotiations regarding a Brightline station. Questionable election signage removal policies that appeared to favor the incumbents over the challengers. Questionable judgment in dealing with members of the community. I've left the names incomplete to protect them, but some examples are Miss Linda, Miss Robin, Miss Sarah, the Hamiltons, and extended families of all those folks. You can contact me if you need further elaboration. So, my prayer is that you all be filled with the knowledge of the Lord's will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding to make the right choices for the well-being of the communities you serve. I believe it is time for a change and fresh perspective which more closely reflects the will of the people who elected you, whether it be in policy or personnel. Thank you.
I have Will Laughlin.
Good evening. I have the privilege to serve on the CRB. And while at that meeting we had this past Tuesday, I heard a couple of small business owners discuss some very, interesting things. One of the things they brought up was the 10% year-over-year property taxes. That was one concern of one individual. And the other mentioned, another small business owner identified that they had a little complaint about capitalism. Well, we don't really have true capitalism here in America anymore. Now, the most dangerous words that you can hear are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, right? And I know the one person complaining about the 10% year-over-year tax rates is accurate, because when I had a small business, I had a 12%, followed by a 17%, followed by a 13%. I was basically a small landlord, a mom-and-pop operation. I recognized that the trajectory said that initially I could eat those costs, but I was not able to pass that cost on to the potential tenants that I had in my particular unit. So I chose to sell when I could, not when I had to. Now, and actually, again, commend you all for that tax cut that you had. I'm hoping there's at least a limit there. I was talking to another small business owner who's been here for 22 years, lives in Stuart, pays taxes. He lost out on a contract to an out-of-county contractor. The contract was in excess of $10,000, so it had to go out to bid. He lost out by $500. Their bid was $500 cheaper. I'm hoping that the board, or the committee here, can come up with a plan to maybe have whoever reviews these contracts consider, hey, this is close. This guy's paying over $5,000 a year in property taxes. I don't know exactly his number. I'm guessing it's over $5,000. Okay, maybe we can cut them a little slack on that $500. And then it goes to the question, well, what is all the money going spent to, or where's all these property taxes going? Well, we have a grant that, well, it goes to cover the streets and things. We're talking about the streets and that. 3 years ago, this commission voted to give away parking spaces to FP&L. So they got to have a charging station. So a potential small business owner who wanted to develop their own charging station, well, they can't. They'd have to compete with this multi-billion-dollar corporation, FP&L, who's owned by NextEra. And NextEra just recently was asking for a 10% hike rate increase. Why are we helping these big fat cats? Next, some of the money gets given away in a grant to a nonprofit. This nonprofit, millions of dollars, will not be paying taxes in all likelihood. And this nonprofit most likely pays themselves a substantial amount. So I got to ask the question, what are we really intending to do with the people's property taxes? Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Will.
Audra Creech.
Good evening. Audra Creech. I live in Palm City, but I work in the city of Stuart. So I didn't even know that there was a discussion about the city manager tonight. I was here on other matters. However, I'm going to give you some thoughts. First, I am a part of Stuart Main Street. The lease for the particular center that we work out of, Flagler, is up for review. So I hope that you will support that. Additionally, as the city manager, you have an extreme opportunity here. You have a wealth of knowledge sitting at your table. You have decades of experience being city commissioner, being a city attorney, being a city manager. I understand it may not be popular to say this, but there are very few cities that have that ability to go and say, have you seen this before? Has this ever happened? Whether the city's been sued, whether the city's been suing others, whether it's anti-growth, pro-growth, it doesn't matter. He has been there. And I would sincerely ask you to understand that you have a veritable source of very significant intel that very few cities have. Additionally, I sincerely hope we are not judged only on the people that dislike us, because frankly, there are a lot of people that dislike other people. Honestly, if there's not someone that dislikes me, I'm doing something wrong. That means I'm not standing for anything. Somebody should be pissed at me somewhere. So I would say that regardless of the many people that I'm sure are going to come up here tonight and be very vocal and very passionate, and I don't disagree, I don't know their stories, I'm not even going to try to know their stories. But I would suggest that you should not necessarily judge a person's career on a couple of people who are not enthused with that human being. It should be taken in complete and utter summation of that person's career. Have they done their job appropriately overall? Thank you.
Robin Cartwright.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I would hope that the deliberation and discussion will be up as open for public discussion because I have some thoughts, but my public comment is specific to Commissioner Giobbe's comment about everybody's favorite friend and neighbor. As you may recall with my case, our favorite friend and neighbor was provided with very specific documentation and information about what were supposedly confidential talks about my legal case. And I can say, looking at the dais, 2 of the commissioners and the current city attorney were not part of that, which potentially limits the number of people who could have possibly shared that information with everyone's favorite friend and neighbor. And it was only taken down from the public purview once the developer called and said they were really ticked off about it, and Mr. Raines, who was the attorney for the developer, reached out to him to have him take it down. Now, when this happened, I reached out to the city to express my concern because I acted in good faith, because I was told absolutely this was confidential talks that nobody should discuss. And yet, here it was published on a blog, in a newsletter that is paid for and sponsored by developers. In and amongst that conversation with the city was a conversation with former acting city manager or attorney, Mr. Nicoletti, who said very clearly, we will look into this. This breach will not be tolerated, and we will look into this. That was 3 years ago. And yet here we are. It's like Groundhog Day that everyone's favorite friend and neighbor is being provided information that nobody else is privy to, and it is being published with the sole intent of swaying a vote or a conversation. And I get that everybody does it. We all share things because we want things to go a certain way. But when you have somebody who is sponsored by developers, and which is interesting, no longer listed on his news site, they've all been taken down, but he is being sponsored by developers for the purposes of. So I express to you, I implore you, please find out who is leaking this information. This is not the first time it has happened, obviously, and it will not be the last. But as long as this kind of shenanigans is tolerated by this commission and by staff, it's only a limited number of people who can provide it to him. So I strongly recommend that you do an investigation, look at public records, because there's only a limited number of people who could possibly do this. Thank you.
Robert Hamilton.
Good evening, Robert Hamilton, 1895 Church of Stuart. You all know me. Last time we were here, we had brought up to you guys Section 200, 230 on the procurement method. Now, we believe that still applies. You all received an email today. You really need to read the email. But before I go into that, let's think about something. We have a lifeguard. Lifeguard's at the beach, doing his job. Little Johnny drowns. Mother goes back a week later with her other kids. Same lifeguard's there. Why would you keep the lifeguard? Why would you keep a cancer in the community? To damage us personally, damage our home, drag us through the mud. I still come in here. There's an out for everybody on this, with the McKee renovation being accepted by the historical people, by commerce, and by the city itself. I'm not here to fight with anybody. Here's an opportunity to resolve it. What you all decide to do or not do, that's on you. It's our home that was destroyed. Our home that the lies about the roof ridge vent system that were discussed last week, which you have the report. And the report clearly states there's no roof ridge vent system. So again, Mr. Jenkins from Guardian came in here and lied to our city commission at the behest of the city manager. Remember, I was going to get hurt. No, we was going to get hurt real bad. We're going to be wounded. It's time we move on. There's an opportunity with the federal law here to use the federal code. Now, we'll all be happy probably when HUD opens back up. I'm sure some of you got the same emails we did. Everything stopped at the moment. So between HUD and the OIG, again, I come here, and here it is. It's right here. It's plain and simple. It's self-procurement 200.230. You know, the sad part about it is it didn't need to have all this happen. We would have went away quietly if it would just been fixed. We just want our home, our historical building fixed. The last thing I'd like to say, I was at the building department, and Mr. Hatton was going through stuff with me, which I appreciate. And when I mentioned to Grace, and we're doing the paperwork, it's historical building, she doesn't want to put that on the paperwork. Now, what's it going to take to put the state ID number that the state of Florida recognizes our building on the paperwork that every other previous permit had on historical building permit? You have a job you need to do. Again, we're still injured 15 months later. We need to get to the bottom of it, move on with Section 200. Thank you.
Did you wish to make a comment?
Yes, Robert, forgive me, I'm confused. I thought we had a revised scope of work that you guys were going to sign and we were going to move forward. Is there an
Did you
issue
look at the scope of work?
that included the ridge
It's
vent?
erroneous. It's got improper stuff in there. It's not complete. It wasn't correct. It's in the email I sent you today.
Lee, can you chime in?
He responded to my email. I looked at it for 2 seconds before coming into the
Okay.
meeting, so it was very lengthy. He had comments, which we were asking for his comments on the revised scope of work.
Okay,
I'll address it tomorrow. It'll be one of the first things I work on, so
okay, got it.
I'll be honest, I didn't see what, he's mentioning some of the things he put in the email, but
I didn't
Well,
see it either.
Mr. Jenkins will never come on that property again. The man came in this room and lied, sir, last week. I'm not going to get in a big argument with you guys. He came in here and lied. It's on video. He lied again and again and again. We don't have to tolerate this. Do you understand that? Our home was damaged. The man came in here and lied to a government body. Now, you may have them under control, but you damn sure don't have me under control. You hurt my family. You hurt me, my property. And you all running around making like it's somebody else's problem here.
Robert, you're going off the rails, man.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what the next step
Well,
was.
then let's get it resolved.
It sounds like
let all
we're
the
working on it.
commissioners read the email
Yeah.
and speak with Mr. Baggett.
one of the issues is Mr. Antonio with Guardian needs to go back and reinspect the home, which was discussed at the last meeting.
Yes.
But I guess we're hearing from Mr. Hamilton that you're not going to allow him to do that.
I never said we were going to allow that at the last meeting. I never said that.
Right.
The tape's there.
I've read most of that email, but I think you need to do it. It's really idiot-proof. It's bullet point as to the things that are not correct and compared to the
The
scope
legal
that was talked about.
description and all that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll leave you with this. It's pretty sad. Now, I'm going to leave some levity here. It's pretty sad, counselor, how many years and they can't get the property description right?
Yes.
Come on, man. And you wonder why we get emotional. That's my home. Mr. Baggett, if I come to your house and trash it, like the mayor said was done to ours, you're not going to be a happy man. Let's just get it fixed. This could have went away a year and a
Mr.
half
Hamilton,
ago.
we are trying to.
No.
We are trying to.
He came in here and lied, sir.
Okay,
All right,
Mr. Hamilton, I'm
we're
going to
trying
ask
to.
you.
I know. Do you want to shut me up? It's all
No,
right.
Mr. Hamilton, we gave you a good audience last week, and we continue to listen to you. And thank you for the email, and it'll provide us a context for our discussions with Mr. Martell and Mr. Baggett. Commissioner Reed?
Yeah, for clarification purposes, Lee, is it a requirement for Antonio Jenkins to come into their property and to inspect in order to move forward?
We need to have it re-inspected by the project manager, and that's who's the project manager. I don't think Guardian has another project manager. I offered in the email that Mr. Haddon or some other city official could be there at the same time, and I got crickets. So that was, unless he responded to it in the email a couple hours ago, I don't know.
Okay.
But right now, Mr. Antonio needs to go back out and Antonio Jenkins of Guardian needs to go back out. All he simply needs to do is re-inspect the property. If we need to have the building official with him, or I'll go out there myself if to be a mediator if that's necessary.
But that is, for clarification, so it is a requirement. Antonio has to.
Unless we utilize the 200-230, which allows.
It doesn't matter, no matter what. Under the CDBG grant, the scope of services has to be formulated by the project manager. So even, that's before it goes out to RFP. To come to the agreement on the scope of services, the project manager has to look at it, the Hamiltons have to look at it, then it has to be sent to Florida Commerce. If Florida Commerce signs off on it, then it gets sent to SHPO. Once SHPO signs off on it, then it would go to procurement. And then the federal statute that they're referencing would actually be a state procurement rule that you could do a sole source procurement if you could demonstrate that there were no other contractors that could qualify to bid.
Okay.
So when I guess Robert and Olga, when you do respond, it sounds like he has, correct. I briefly looked at it as well, like Lee said.
I gave 2 dates that
Before-
Mr. Antonio
I
was
understand,
there.
but in order for him to even move forward, they would have to come into his house, and he might not be comfortable with that, and I don't know how he would be comfortable, or if we go that other avenue. It sounds like we might be back to square one unless.
Well, I think first we need to come to.
Hang on, I'm not
I'm
finished.
sorry.
Unless between the Hamiltons can come up with where they would feel comfortable with Antonio being in their residence again. But there is no ridge vent system there. And Antonio Jenkins did stand before us at that meeting and say there was one. And I did my own due diligence, Lee, and they don't make a ridge vent system for a standing seam metal roof, by the way, or any metal roof at all. So he's that project manager, and he's supposed to go in there again and inspect. And he stood in front of us and said there was one. There is not one.
If
I'm just
he's
telling
not
you
going to
there's not
inspect
one.
it, it's going to delay it even further.
I understand that.
I'm trying, you guys asked me to get
Correct.
this thing quickly done. I've tried, and I'm doing my best.
No, and listen, Lee, I know you're
I'm not going to inspect it.
No, I know, and listen, you're doing your job, but Antonio Jenkins failed, and he absolutely stood in front of us as board members and lied and said there was a ridge vent system. There's
I
not
think,
one.
first off, we shouldn't be accusing him saying he lied when he's not here to defend himself. So let's, I
can
understand.
You can contact the company, Cobra, and it
I don't need to. I'm just saying, please don't accuse him, and he's not here to defend himself. And I'm not saying that to defend him. I'm just saying we need to
my
give
due
due
diligence.
process. We're a public entity.
I understand.
And we've done that in the past, and then we brought him here to answer the questions. Then that question should have been posed to him if you were challenging him. We should have challenged him when he was here.
Well, I didn't know.
But I don't want to, all he's got to do is inspect the property. I mean,
There's no dispute that everyone's agreed to put a ridge vent in.
Correct.
So that's not,
yeah, and that's in the revised scope of service.
They might not be comfortable with him going in their house, and that might put us back to not
well,
moving
and
forward.
we can go through Florida Commerce and go down a different path, and if that's the case, but it's just going to be delay.
Okay.
Both parties have obligations
Excuse me,
with
Mayor.
regard to this process.
Sorry.
Okay.
I do have one more public comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Olga Hamilton.
Good afternoon, Olga Hamilton, 311 Southwest 3rd Street. Okay, that church that you all tried to hear. On August 4, 2024, we notified Mr. Jenkins of Guardian Community Resource Management. He represents that firm. We notified the city manager that the contractor did not install the roof reach vent system included in the CDBG scope of work. Instead of rectifying this situation, Mr. Jenkins wrote to us demanding the full payment on the roof, 19,090, including roof reach vent system that was not installed, it was faked. Yes, we hired home inspector who was given to us by insurance company. He wrote report, he confirmed there are no any functioning roof reach vent system. Count from August 2024 to today date, 2025. How many days of lies? We repeatedly asked the city administration for re-inspection, reopen the permit, re-inspect, deduct for work that not complete. No, the city administration paid the full amount without any deduction for the roof reach vent system, despite we provided with the bid. And by the way, as the city attorney wrote to us, that he included that code red roofers who inspected and gave bid. No, excuse me, city attorney. That firm, code red roofers, they did not write in their bid that we have existing roof reach vent system. What they wrote in their bid, to remove the reach cap, not reach vent system, and to remove the metal, it's non-vented the metal. There are no Cobra roof reach vent system. There are no any roof reach vent system on our roof. This is days of lies. Plus, including, as Mr. Jenkins, Guardian Community Resource Management, vetted contractor, review contractor, certifies their work, supervises their work, certifies their work, and he certified at 85% windows complete when he had in his hand since December 1st, 2023, the State Historic Preservation Letter and the Structural Engineer Report stated all windows have to be removed and damages all have to be repaired to our windows openings. 85% he certified and paid taxpayers' money, doesn't matter, federal taxpayers or the city of Stuart taxpayers. Over 46,000 of the taxpayers' money given to Patriot Response Group for fake roof reach vent system and short installation of the windows. I hope we can move forward, but I do have concern, even not just Mr. Jenkins to have on our property, but Guardian Community Resource Management, who sent us documents with falsified dates and forged signature.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude?
That concludes the public
Thank you.
comment.
Can I get a motion for the approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Commissioner Clark. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Rich?
Yes. Item 8. So, will you read item 8 for our consideration, please,
Sure.
Mr. Baggett?
Resolution number 101-2025, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, to authorize a 3-year extension to absolute triple net unsubordinated lease agreement between the City of Stuart and Stuart Main Street Association, Inc. for the Flagler Center located at 201 Southwest Flagler Avenue, Stuart, providing an effective date and for other purposes. We have attached the original lease and the original ordinance, resolution that initially approved it. It provided for a initial 3-year term, and then there was 2 additional 3-year terms. This is the second additional extension term, so will be years
7, 8, 9.
7, 8, and 9. Nothing else is changing in the contract other than extending the time. I pointed out into the summary that there seemed to be a scrivener's error in the original commencement date. In the original lease agreement, it was dated at the top in August of 2019, but in the original resolution, the commission authorized it to commence on January 1st, 2020. I think the August date was around the time that was finally executed by the city and Stuart Main Street. But the first renewal for an extension, they were consistent with it starting in January. I just wanted to point out to the board, in case you guys caught it, that there seems to be a few months off. They've requested that it to be extended. I've provided their letter in here, and we have a draft of the extension for the lease for the second renewal. I'm happy to answer any questions. I believe someone from Stuart Main Street is here, if you have any questions for them.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
So, I don't know if you feel comfortable, Mike, but just kind of briefly walking through these 3 different agreements that we have with Main Street, because my ask here would be to have all of them line up together, where we have 3 different agreements. I think it's something that's needed to happen for some time, that are sort of floating out with independent timeframes. And I think all of them need to land basically on one agenda in the future for future commissions. I think it's a little fragmented.
So for what it's worth, obviously, for the edification of the audience, the 3 agreements are the Rock and River Walk, the Green Market, and the Flagler Center. And so we can bring back the Green Market and the Rock and River Walk and combine it to this lease at a future date, if the inclination of the board is that. Be pretty easy. Historically, what really happened was Main Street started doing Rock and River Walk. They were having to pull a special event permit for every single Sunday, so it became an absurdity. So what we did is entered into an annual deal with them to pull 1 special event permit for 52 Sundays so they could do the Rock and River Walk. Unrelated to that, several years later, they responded to a request for proposals as it related to operating the Flagler Center, and they were the selected applicant, and they started operating the Flagler Center. Then on a separate matter, they also responded to a request for proposals to operate the Green Market, and as a result, we have these 3 staggered contracts. The Flagler Center's before you guys tonight. If you want to address that tonight, I can bring back the other 2 contracts, and if all we're doing is changing the dates, I can meet with Candace at Main Street and have her bring it to their board. I don't think there'd be any objection by their board, if you're not changing any terms or anything, just to consolidate them so that they all come back annually for the commission to review at the same time. And it probably makes sense for it to be in like May, so that it's before the budget.
I say that because all of the agreements in some way kind of play on each other. So we pay $70,000 for, Main Street to do Riverwalk, plus they lease, and then they give us back money for that lease. It really should be all looked at together, I think, for a commission to be able to review, and it's.
But if you remember, last year we said that we will not review the annual allocation we make to them. Remember, we lost that.
But to be able to holistically look at the city's relationship with Main Street. Not to criticize
It sense to me.
but I think so that, because otherwise these just, one of these lands on your agenda over here and then over there, we can't really. And if something needs to be, maybe they need more than 70. Maybe, you can look at it holistically and say, okay, this is our relationship with Main Street, these are our expectations. That would be my ask.
I agree.
Okay. Are there any other questions of Mr. Baggett regarding this?
Actually, the city manager, well, you had your
I
hand
had
on
my
first,
light
go ahead.
on, but it's okay.
Commissioner Clark?
Okay, so in light of what Commissioner Vice Mayor just brought up, if we're going to vote on this item number 8, resolution number 101, 2025, I'd like to vote on this separately tonight since it's there, and your suggestion would be something,
Yeah, to wait so that they all land on one agenda for future commissions, for us as
to
that.
bring them back next time as
Boom, boom,
well.
I can get them on the next agenda, because this is already done. I would literally just put this on the next agenda and then just add the other items. The only thing is a matter of speaking to Main Street. Obviously, those other, the Rock and Riverwalk contract for the special events permit's easy, but the Green Market one is an RFP response, so it may or may not be, but we can still bring it back at the next
But
agenda.
it's also the
Address it.
annual allocation we provide them. That's
Well,
an additional item.
Right, well, that's budgeted.
Yeah.
So that's in the contractual stuff.
26 budget.
Right. So the funding is there.
Are you saying you want,
You want to put
Mr.
it
Vice
on?
Mayor, do you want that to come before us every year again?
I think it should all be a part of that package for us to consider our relationship with them. And again, I'm not saying that to cut it but just for
That
transparency.
motion failed last time. I just want to remind you.
Okay. Well,
But that doesn't mean we can't bring it back.
yeah, I think they should all come back together again so we can holistically look at them.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Commissioner Giobi?
My question is to the city manager, and he and I have emailed back and forth. I was looking, it's my understanding that there are some sublets over at the Flagler Center, and you did not have a copy of those, or you were going to look for
Well,
them.
I sent you the
It was
unsigned.
blank.
The unsigned copy.
Right.
So like when the city enters into an agreement, like with Azul to land lease, we don't get copies of the 49 sublets where they lease the units out. And when we entered into the land lease with Huizinga for the Sunset Bay Marina, they have 202 subleases for the leases, then they have a sublet for the marina, then they have a sublet for the sailor returns, and then they have a sublet for, I can't think of the coffee houses. Gilbert's. And so their lease requires the city commission to approve any assignment of that, just as the lease that you have before you tonight has a requirement that in the event they're inclined to sublet the parties, paragraph 9 says that the lessee may not assign all or any portion of this lease or sublease the whole or any part of the premises, including portions of any improvements erected thereon by lessor or other portions of the premises for any purpose without the express written consent of the lessor, open parentheses, city manager, which consent shall not be unreasonably withheld or delayed. And so when you look into the going back on it, when we were looking into what unreasonably held or delayed meant, is obviously it would not be unreasonable for the city to deny a sublease with someone that we were in litigation with, or deny a sublease with an entity that was not zoned to do business there or something like that. But as it relates to the amount of the lease, it really has no bearing on the city of Stuart. This goes on to say that no matter what, the lessee shall remain liable for the full performance and obligations under this lease, and no sublease can extend beyond the existing term of this lease.
Was your point more who or how much?
No, who? I don't really
Okay,
care how much.
so it's- so
the
the who is
reality is,
yes.
number one, the Flagler Center, I'm sure, doesn't have 23 subleases.
No, they have, I believe it's one with an engineering firm that used to be in the building that's
So then it's
occupied
one,
by
and we
Toby
should
over there.
certainly have a known who is that lease.
We do.
Okay.
And I provided you a copy of the unsigned lease, because when the prior city manager got the letter from Stuart Main Street, it had their proposed lease in it. When I was at my desk Friday looking for it, I happened to find that like on the computer. I'm sure I could go through the clerk's office and get a copy of it, but in my email to you, I said, I don't know if they've updated that lease because it was signed in 2019.
So we don't even know if they're still there.
Well,
That's another
I
issue.
know they're still there.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Maybe double check with Candace.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And do they
right.
lease out any
Catalog of who's in
property for no fee? I mean, are there other people using the facility at Flagler?
They're not allowed to, so if they did, and I didn't know about it, then I don't know. But
Right.
I'm not sure of that, but they haven't informed us of that.
Right.
But I do know that.
Can we ask if
Yeah.
there's anyone using property at Flagler as an office, a desk somewhere?
I mean,
Again, it
Sure,
would be,
I mean, I'll
that
ask
would
her.
be something if they're not even paying a rent, but they just
Doesn't the vice
have.
mayor sit on that board?
But I feel like that's more of a city manager
I mean, I'm happy to find out.
conversation, so
Yeah.
it gets back to all of us.
I mean,
Thank you.
and for what it's worth, if they're subleasing and someone's using it as an office and maintaining a business tax, the city has an interest in it. But if the entity itself is saying that they can use office space, I don't know who's using the office space or what the allegation is, that's not paying rent, that's just going in and sitting there. I don't know that it's actually a lease or not, but I will ask. I don't believe that that's happening, though.
I guess that's the point.
Right.
We don't know. And it is our property that we lease. I guess that was the point. We don't know. Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Reed?
Yeah, my question was pretty much answered, and I think probably what you're getting at, Commissioner Giobbi is probably that consultant for Brightline that was using that property address for a mailing address, I think tied to their Sunbiz Corporation.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
That's what you're talking
That was-
about.
That was the, I forget the guy's name,
forget
several
his name.
years ago. He was a.
Sam Yates.
Yes, Sam Yates.
He was using their property address as a mailing address for his, I think like registered agent maybe or something for mailing purposes.
And I'll ask. I don't know if he's still there or not, and I don't know.
And I don't know if he was ever there.
Right.
I don't know. I just know on Sunbiz it was listed. I'm assuming that's what
Right.
you're talking about. It's still listed?
Right, but then if you're listing it as Sunbiz.
Oh, he's still there.
You mind coming to the mic, Mark?
Please.
So Sam is still there. He actually is the executive director of the Gold Coast Builders Association. He's occupying space provided to him by Culpeper and Turning on the space interpreting that they lease there. I mean, I know that's.
So it's a sublet of a sublet.
Well, and I don't know if he's employed by Culpeper and Turpinning, but if he is,
He was doing some PR and marketing for them. How much now, I don't know. I mean, I know he officially is
All right,
using that space.
Let's let the city manager find it.
there aren't any, if he has an actual lease, then they were supposed to get our permission for that. The commission could declare it a breach
Now-
and terminate the contract
Now, when you
for
say
it.
our permission, it says city manager.
Well,
You'd
when
bring
they
it
come
like
in,
a
I would
consent
bring, yeah,
agenda
right,
kind of
exactly.
thing? Okay.
And so I have no idea. I assume
Yeah.
that Culpeper Turpinning's office used to be where Toby Overdorf's office is.
Okay.
When their 10 years ended because it's waterfront property, instead of having a
No.
referendum, they got moved to, they had to move out. When they had to move out, when the, the Stuart Main Street rented the Flagler Center, Culpeper Turpinning then went and worked out a deal to rent office space in the back of the Flagler Center that was approved by David Dias back in like 2019.
But
I
was it
think.
ever on the agenda, like a
I have no
consent
idea.
agenda?
I have no
Okay.
idea. And then the Sam Yates, it sounds to me like, is occupying that space as an agent of Culpeper Turpinning, not as a tenant,
Yeah.
but no different than your employee would be occupying
Yeah.
it as you. Not that he has his own lease with them, but rather that he works for them and uses the space that way. I have no idea, but if the commission wants to change it,
Why
the
would you
lease is right in
characterize
front of
it-
you right
Why
now.
would you characterize it that way if you have no idea?
Because I know that Candace has come to us and told us they were subletting, there'd be no reason for us to deny a sublet, whether it was Sam Yates or whether it was Culpeper Turpinning. We didn't have a basis to say that he was a no, so if they were doing it just for permission, there'd be no reason not to bring it forward.
But what would be accurate is we have no idea.
Well, except for Mark's telling us that he's using Culpeper's office. That's the space that Culpeper leased.
But aren't you made aware of these, Mr. Vice Mayor, when you attend the board meetings? Aren't you made aware? No? And you don't ask these questions?
This is all sort of coming out now.
It's all new.
Yeah.
Open government.
Yeah.
So Mike, going back to it, if it was a sublease, it would come in front of the board on a consent agenda item, I would imagine.
That's what I would do.
That's what you would do, but we don't know if Dave Dias did it when he was city manager.
So
The lease doesn't require it.
It's not a requirement, I know
Right.
that, correct.
And I
That's
know
what I'm
that,
getting at.
I know that when it happened, I know the city manager discussed it
Yeah.
with the individual board members. And because Culpeper Turpinning had been a tenant of the city for 20 years prior to that, in the building that's right here in the corner of the parking lot where Toby Overdorf's office is, but what happened was, when the new law came into play, or the new code came into play, that you couldn't stay in waterfront property for more than 10 years without a referendum.
Yeah.
When 10 years ran out, they had to move, so they got moved out of that space and were looking for space. So I think it all just kind of happened at the same time, but I don't remember the details of how it got
Now,
negotiated or what it was.
now for clarification purposes, they could, and I know these might be new leases, but we have other leases in the city, and I don't know if this one's just more controversial because of who rents it and then who subleased it to a potential Sam Yates consultant with Brightline. And I don't know if that's why it gets more, I guess, attention. But what I'm getting at is, are other leases like that in the city to where you would have the authorization, and then I understand you would bring it to the board on a consent agenda? Is that how it would be done for other ones?
I'm not aware of any other leases in the city that have the sublet language.
Gotcha.
I know that the ground lease for Sunset Bay Marina allowed the Huizinga Group to originally sublet it to a restaurant, and then Bob Davis built the Sailor Returns. I know that when Huizinga Group sold it to the next company that manages it, they had to come before the city commission, and the city commission had to approve the assignment. The city commission was not given the financial terms of what Huizinga was paid for it. It was just to approve the new managing entity that was going to be managing the marina and operating the marina.
So did the Pelican have that leased where, because I remember the Pelican tried.
Pelican, when it assigned its lease to Mike Matakaitis, same thing happened.
Had to come in front of the board,
The
right?
terms of what was paid to the Pelican were not public. It was just like when Mulligan's used to be right next door at Boathouse, and they sold the balance of their lease to the Boathouse Company. Whatever they sold it for, whether it was $1 or $1 trillion, was not disclosed. It was that the city commission had to decide whether or not it was accepting the new new tenant as a operator that was going to be financially stable sufficiently enough to maintain the building or do whatever it was.
So is this the only lease in the city that has this option?
Well,
Okay, is that essential that we know this to either approve this motion or not? I appreciate that's a good, but
I'm just asking some good
can't he
questions.
I know, but it has nothing to do with this item.
Well, it does. It has to do with the
If you would like to make a request of the city manager that all city leases be brought,
It's
be
not,
put
that's
on.
not what I'm saying.
Why
Mayor
can he not
Rich.
ask his
You're cutting
questions?
me
We're
off.
talking
What does it have to do with his decision?
Because we're
Bias,
talking
you can't
about the
speak.
Flagler lease. This would be the item.
We're
to
talking
talk-
about the Pelican lease now.
Well, I'm
And then
getting
we were
some
talking about
backstory.
Gilbert's lease.
Why can he not ask his questions?
so, in short, the Florida statutes require you to mitigate damages. So if you're a tenant in any landlord situation, and you're in a position that you can't pay your rent any longer, and your landlord's evicting you, the landlord has the right to sue you for the balance of the months that are due.
Correct.
But if you can mitigate those damages by finding a sufficient tenant, even if your lease doesn't have the assignment language in it, the courts will interpret it to include that language and allow you to fill those shoes so that you can avoid or mitigate the damages for the
And I
remainder of
understand that.
the breach of that contract.
Business.
The leases that the city has, as it relates to its long-term land leases, all have the assignment language, because when you have an 80 or 90-year lease, it's not anticipated that the person's going to run through the tape, so they generally do it.
But those aren't waterfront
The waterfront's unrelated,
Okay.
but the Sunset Bay's waterfront,
is it a-
Hudson's is waterfront, waterfront is waterfront.
So what is it, a land lease versus?
It's a land lease
Versus
is
a building?
It's, well, Hudson's and waterfront were both considered land leases, because what we say is, you're renting it as a triple net land lease. If the air conditioning breaks, that's your problem.
responsible,
You have
yes.
to maintain it. We're not providing you a tenant where we provide you with working air conditioning and working windows and working heat, and if it leaks or any of that, we say, no, it's just a flat land lease. And then that's your responsibility for everything else, insurance, taxes, maintenance, everything. And that's just been a policy of the city.
I get it, but those would have to come in front of the board. This one would not. That's all, and that's all I was asking the questions on, Mayor Ridge.
This one,
I know you would bring it in
if they,
front of her.
if they had a different tenant that was wanting to move in and it came forward, it's just as easy for me to put it on the consent, because I just put it on the
Yeah,
consent. But
that's what you would do,
But I don't
yes.
know that it requires it one way or the other.
Doesn't
but
require
matter.
it.
Right.
It doesn't require it. That's going above and beyond, which I would appreciate. It would be nice, and I'm sure most people would. Thank you, Mayor Rich, for allowing me to finish my comments.
Commissioner Giobi, do you have additional comments?
I just wanted to say, my whole reason was that it is city property, and we should know who's leasing it or subleasing it, that's all.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
With regard to resolution number 101, 2025 as presented.
I think that we gave city manager direction to bring that back.
Yeah.
So, no, that's what I was going to say. If we're going to do it separately, I asked that before, or if we're going to actually table it and bring it back. There was no such thing about actually,
Having them all be on the.
Makes
on
more
the
sense to table it and bring them all back.
Right.
but is it going to affect anything, Mr. Martell?
He said
Do we
no.
need to do?
I mean, the only thing before us today is
Mark's got a comment,
the
too.
lease. I don't know that I'm not taking any action to tell them get out. I mean, so, right, so I don't think it has any.
Technically, the lease does not renew till the end of the year.
Because
So
they'll lose-
under the lease agreement, they have to let us know within 120 days that they're going to renew it. They did that, and so at the next, and it says at the next
have
agenda
time.
meeting, we have to bring it up. But I'm letting you know that we have until the end of the year, so.
So do we have a motion?
So if you want to do a motion to table it to the next meeting, and Mr. Mortel will bring back
Is that
the other.
enough time, Mr. Martell,
October
for all that?
That'll open up comment, Mark.
I don't believe it's not a problem for our staff. I don't know, I can't speak for Main Street, so I mean, I'm just,
So,
I mean, I can talk to Candace tomorrow, but I don't think it should be a big deal. I mean, it's,
so we can have it be a date uncertain
Right.
in
right, I just bring it back and I'll plan on next meeting. If it's not, I'll do the meeting after.
ASAP but uncertain.
Right.
All right, so Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table this item for now, and that the city manager bring back as soon as possible, but at a date uncertain, these multiple different items for one agenda.
All agreements relating to Main
I'll
Street.
second
All
the
agreements
motion.
related to Main
So
Street.
we have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Commissioner Giobi. Is there public comment on that item? I don't think. Table
I do
is-
have public comment. Mark Breckville.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just had a quick comment. I think it was the reason this